I'm back at home. Tyler's back at home. And the Edmonton Oilers are back on home ice with the series tied 1-1. Game 3 at Rogers Place. And it's an early one tonight, folks. It's a 7:30 p.m. Mountain start. We're counting that as early with the way these playoffs have gone so far. So I'm excited to get this bad boy going. Hello and welcome to Pre-Gaming with BORDZY, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giants. I'm your host, Aaron Bordato. That's our pal, Tyler Yaremchuk. Make sure you subscribe to the ON YouTube. Get in the chat. Drop down your likes. I'm liking what I'm seeing in here. Bootneck said, man, those Canucks fans are salty. We're going to be joined by David Quadrelli a little bit later on in the show so he can defend Canucks Army himself. I like this one from Fighting Amish, Tyler. Did the Trolls go back under their bridges? That's a good one as well. I want to start things off, though, by saying Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, especially my mother. You're an angel, Mom. I love you. Tyler, you've been doing a bunch of traveling. Were you able to see your mother today?
I was. I saw her yesterday. I didn't see her today. So I went yesterday, dropped off a nice plant. That's always a very safe Mother's Day gift. Had lunch, all that good stuff. So yes, happy Mother's Day to all the moms watching the stream, including my own, who's probably watching.
Yeah, my mom probably is too. So that's why I had to sneak that in there. I didn't get her a plant. I just got her some sick-ass flowers. So, I mean, that's a plant in its own right. Always a safe bet to do. But as I mentioned, we're back at home. There's no Greta. There's no road games tonight. And Ty, we haven't seen your face since the Friday night pre-game show, me included. We haven't talked a lot, so I want to hear about your night, your weekend in general. Obviously, Friday night, I assume, went a little bit better than it could have on Wednesday night. I'm curious how much you boys were getting chirped that evening. Canucks fans have been incredibly vocal online, so were they as vocal in person?
Oh, yeah. That was... Like this year in LA, from a road fan perspective, wasn't as bad as LA in years past. I will say Vancouver was worse than any of the LA series that I've been to. They were fan base is nasty, man. Like they were not. There was a couple where you had a decent interaction with them, and like outside the arena, kind of doing like a hey, it's gonna be a good series, yeah. But inside the arena, it was spicy in there. So we sat before overtime, myself, BM, and Liam, and we were like, okay, what's our plan for when this game ends? Because when the Canucks won game 1, we were out of there. We thought, let's beat the traffic, let's get out of there and not deal with all these Canucks fans yelling at us. Our strategy after overtime was let's just sit for like as long as we can in the arena and let the crowd kind of go away. And even that wasn't enough, man. We were getting ripped ruthlessly.
I would want to sit there and just drink it in, baby. The sweet, sweet taste of victory on a Friday night. Obviously, Tyler, Greta was beyond lit on Friday night. It was more packed than any night we've done so far. And in overtime, holy shit, was it tense in that building. Everybody standing up. They had the patio open, so you got the cross breeze going through the building. So that was very nice for temperature's sake. And then shout out Ian Cole for that game winner, baby, doing his best Zach Hyman impression, but the crowd absolutely exploded in Greta. I'm sure the fan park was nuts. The moss pit was nuts, and I'm sure it was quiet out there in Rogers Arena. But the Oil, they bounced back in game 2 after an incredibly, incredibly disappointing game 1. And I don't have to tell you that because you were boots on the ground. They fought back good with that OT victory. Evan Bouchard with the OT winner. They've now got a chance to seriously take a stranglehold on this series with both of the next 2 games in their building. They've completely stolen home ice advantage, and momentum is a hell of a thing. And you have to think right now it's on the Edmonton Oilers side. They sit in a pretty comfortable spot. Nobby didn't want the boys down 2-0, having to come back to Edmonton in a must-win, can't-lose game on home ice. No one, I think, expected them to win both in Vancouver. At least I didn't. I expected a split in those first 2 games, and it's a success if you can split it, especially starting on the road. You flip the script completely. I think momentum's on our side right now. Would you agree?
100%. I think, if you want to go momentum meter, if this is the midway point, it is leaned like a hair towards the Oilers right now. But if you win tonight, that thing really starts to move towards the Edmonton Oilers. You've put yourself in the great spot of only having to win your home games. If you win your home games, you're going to be moving on to the Western Conference Finals. So I agree. I am thrilled with 1-1. I think that is good. That was the realistic goal going out there. There is still just like a little part of me that's like, oh my God, if you don't blow game one in that fashion, are you coming home up to rip right now? But regardless, you take the 1-1 split, you recognize you got some bad bounces, you got some bad goaltending. The Oilers still haven't played better than what, a B effort? I wouldn't even say B plus for what they did on game two. So AB, it's very easy to feel good about the Oilers heading into tonight.
You have to. In game one, we can't change it. It's already happened, but you had the 3-goal lead, and there is a possibility the Oilers could have been up 2-0 in the series, but that's not the reality we live in. That's fantasy. I live in reality, and it's an even split right now. And the big story in game two, Tyler, at least online afterwards, it was the officiating in that bad boy. The Canucks fans, I said, wildly vocal online. And do they have the right to be upset in some cases? Absolutely. Connor McDavid high-sticked the shit out of Quinn Hughes. He looked like he was crying blood at one point. Quinn Hughes, he looks like he's just getting beat up right now in these NHL playoffs. Derek Ryan executed an unreal cup check on Nils Höglander as he went past the bench. I know our boy Quads, who will join us later, and I did see him in the chat here before. He mentioned pregame with Kelly Sutherland there. It's going to be the whistle in the Oilers' advantage as the Canucks were 0-7-1, I believe, coming in. But you would have thought the Oilers committed murder with the way things went online after that game. I do understand they missed some calls, but dude, it's the NHL playoffs. That happens for both sides. Calls are going to be made. Calls are going to be missed. Both teams went 1 for 3 on the power play. What did you think of the whistles on Friday night and maybe in general so far in the series?
I'll go out to our friends at the Wood Lake campground. Officials sucked for both teams. And I'm with that 100%. And I'll say this. I think the officials have sucked in both the games. I think in game one, for that to only have been one power play aside in the series opener was brutal. There were more infractions than that. That could have easily been 3 or 4 aside. And I think last game probably should have been one of those nights where it was 5-6 power plays aside. Like, yes, Connor McDavid should have sat for 4 minutes at some point. Darnell Nurse probably could have gotten pegged with a boarding penalty. Evander Kane probably could have gotten pegged for the slew foot on Quinn Hughes. But then you can flip the script. Janmark got boarded as well. Zach Hyman got high-sticked. That went uncalled. Evander Kane in the first period got tripped. The play went back the other way. They immediately called a tripping penalty on Edmonton. So the officiating was poor both ways. And I think if either fan base wants to sit there and, pretend that there's some massive conspiracy in favor of the other, I think they're mistaken. What I would say, though, is that the Oilers are the team that would benefit from more power plays being called than less. If you're the Canucks fans and you're sitting there going, that game was officiated terribly, it should have been 6 power plays aside instead of 3 each. I don't think you want that. So even though the officials were bad for both sides last night, I still think it favored the Canucks because there were so many missed calls. And you got one penalty kill that has been elite so far in the playoffs. You got one power play. That is the best power play in the NHL, arguably the best power play in NHL history. That best power play didn't get a chance to strut its stuff as much as it should have last game. So Canucks fans can bitch all they want, but they should also be lucky that it wasn't 6-6 in terms of the power plays.
Exactly, and it goes both ways. Missed calls are going to happen on both sides. I like how you broke that down. I'm just going to keep shouting it out. I know it was dirty. The Derek Ryan cup check made me laugh so much watching that over and over, but it's a dirty play from DR. The one big story, though, coming into that Friday night was the health of one Leon Draisaitl. And dare I argue, Tyler, is there anyone better at playing injured than one Leon Draisaitl? Like, he had 17 points in 5 games against the Calgary Flames on one ankle years ago. He has what Frank Saravalli, dude, he dropped that bomb on the pregame show that he thinks it's broken ribs. And I just sat there and was like, wait, what? Are you serious? So we don't know right now. And then he goes out and he has a 4-point night, goal, 3 assists. He was moved to McDavid's wing in a move that I think was to insulate him a little bit, to not have to be that play driver down the middle of the ice. And also, going supernova has worked out well for this team. And boy, did it happen again on Friday nights. Nobby said it earlier today about what they're going to do tonight. He said, quote, "I'm certain there will be times when Dry will be playing left wing with Connor, and there will be other times when he's centering his old line. So we'll see what Vancouver does with their lineup, and we'll adjust from there." Moral of the story, keep it locked on here, and we'll let you know the lineups as they didn't do forward line rushes earlier this morning. But the other story, Tyler, is Leon Draisaitl. He's not human.
He's not. Like, again, you mentioned the Calgary stuff. How about the fact that, again, coming into a game where he's clearly banged up and laboring, when he was on the ice at 5-on-5, he himself individually attempted 11 shot attempts. The Canucks as a team, when Draisaitl was on the ice, only attempted 9. And I know everyone, NHL Sid had the great tweet when it was McDavid, Hyman, McDavid, Draisaitl, Bush, and Ekholm. When those four were on the ice, the shot attempts at 5-on-5 were like 36-5 or something crazy like that. They dominated them. And Draisaitl, I think part of it is just because he's got so much that combination of strength and skill. He doesn't rely on his speed to generate all of his chances. He relies on going to the right areas when he's with McDavid and just using brute strength in his brain, like you're saying. So, yeah, man, Draisaitl was unbelievable in that game.
It was nuts, and 97 himself, unbelievable. We saw it in game one where I think it's fair to say the Canucks won that McDavid matchup. JT Miller all over him. You knew it coming in that Connor wasn't going to allow that 2 times in a row. And, dude, I said it when he got the puck on that breakaway at Greta. I yelled. He got it at like center ice, and I just shot out of my chair and yelled, I'm standing up, because I knew it was going to go in the back of that net. 97 versus a rookie goaltender. I think I know which guy I'm going to take. But that's been another big storyline in this series so far, the goaltending battle, and it has been less than stellar. Stuart Skinner, he's allowed 8 goals on 43 shots. Archer Shilov's 8 goals on 49 shots. Definitely leaves more goaltending to the imagination. We saw Stuart Skinner bounce back in games 3, 4, 5 in round 1 after less than stellar's games 1 and 2. He'll have the home crowd on his side tonight, which I think is going to be crucial to try and pick him up in his confidence. You know, the Stu chants are going to be out a plenty tonight. They were big in Greta on Friday night. I expect Stu to get an above 900 save percentage tonight. 3 or less, which, as we talked about all season, should be enough for the Edmonton Oilers. They should be able to score 4 goals or more. On the other side, Archer Shilov's, he doesn't look like the 937, 938 goaltender, whatever he was in round 1 against the Nashville Predators. Obviously, the Edmonton Oilers have a lot more firepower. He's looked shaky at moments. Behind the net, he couldn't handle a puck with Zach Hyman there. He said at points, he trying to make simple glove saves, kind of batted at the puck like a cat, and it just went out in front of him. And the goaltending battle, it hasn't been great so far. What have you thought of the 2 men in the crease?
Yeah, I don't think either of them would be giving themselves a passing grade. And again, that's one of the reasons I'm really, really confident in the Oilers heading into this hockey game tonight is just they haven't been at their best for back-to-back games. Stuart Skinner hasn't been at his best for back-to-back games. He's given you probably about as bad as he can play in the back half of game 1. And I'd say very average in game 2. 2 of the goals I didn't love. Didn't seem like he was moving all that well, but he stopped enough for them to win. The point being, Skinner on home ice this season has been much better than Skinner on the road. In the regular season, he had an .894 save percentage away from Rogers Place, a .913 save percentage in Rogers Place. He's been a better home goalie. The Oilers have been a better home team than road team. I think Skinner bounces back tonight. I think the Oilers probably bring their best game of the series tonight.
Yep, I agree 100%. And let me squeeze this in right now because the playoffs are here and it's time to oil up, baby. Nation Gear wants to gear you up for the playoff run. Look at those bad boys on your screen. You can get his shirts in white, blue, black. We got some hats as well. Of course, the Live, Laugh, La Bamba line out there. Get yourself a pre-gaming with BORDZY shirt. Ty, on Friday night, I requested the chat to give me a Photoshop of Ian Cole's face on Evan Bouchard's body celebrating. 10 minutes later, Pat sends me a message and he's like, hey, I got it. I got it right here. We throw it up. I told whoever made it, John H., to send me an email and I'd send him a pre-gaming shirt. He emails me and he goes, hey, I bet you didn't expect me to be from Germany, but if you want to send that bad boy over to me, I'd really appreciate it. He gave us a lot of love for creating quite the fan base, and he feels at home, very updated with the nation citizens. So that was awesome. John, your shirt is on the way, buddy. Wow. I did send it. So hopefully it's going to make its way there, but time to gear up. Tyler, do you wear your oil up gear loud and proud out in Vancouver?
Actually, you know what? I did wear my Oil Up gear loud and proud. Today, I'm going with an old school piece of Nation gear. I got the Pray for Playoffs gear from a couple years ago, and I was putting it on today, and I was like, man, it is wild. Like getting ready for another home game at Rogers Place. November, we were praying just for the playoffs. We just wanted to get in and not have this year be a colossal failure. So I'm repping some OG Nation gear today.
Earlier this year, Tyler, at the San Jose game,
Yep.
roughly quoting you here, you said this might be a summer they write books about. Yeah, they're going to be writing about the parade because it's a cup year. Shout out Lance Kane. Let's get into it now with the Wilhauk Need to Know information, courtesy of Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because only the finest tasting meat products earn the Wilhauk name. Made from 100% Pierre Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. You can pick them up at Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall kiosk locations. For more info, go to wilhaukbeefjerky.com. I'm back home. That means I have my stressful munch, which my go-to choice is Wilhauk Beef Jerky. So I'm going to get to plug away on that because I'm sure tonight, dude, Greta on Friday, I was just the most anxious guy in the building. I don't even know if I have fun during the playoffs. I'll be honest with you, it's so damn stressful. But for the Oilers need to know, no Adam Henrique tonight. Unfortunately, he will not be in the lineup. He's dealing with an ankle issue. He tried to play in the last game. He played a season low with the Oilers, 11 minutes and 38 seconds, which means Connor Brown is going to be stepping into the lineup tonight. Should be slotting in on that fourth line. We will know more later when we get the line rushes. But he should play with Janmark and Derek Ryan. Give a nice boost to that penalty kill, which did allow its first goal against in these NHL playoffs. Tyler, that streak couldn't last forever, I guess, eh?
No, not quite gonna last forever. But again, man, there's a long list of positives coming in this game. I want to touch on Henrique though. Knowing now that he can't go in Game 3. Do you not want to give him more props for trying to grind it out in Game 2? Or are you sitting there going, why would you even bother playing him if he wasn't 100% yet? Why not just sit him another couple days? Because who knows how long he's going to be out now.
I'm okay with it. I like the gritty hockey mentality of, I say it all the time, are you hurt or are you injured? Maybe, in fact, he is injured right now. Keeping up with the scoring race, Connor McDavid, he leads the NHL scoring race in points currently, as you'll see it on your screen right here, with a whopping 17 of those bad boys, 2 goals and 15 assists. Who's second in NHL scoring, you might ask? Oh, of course, it's the guy right below him, Leon Draisaitl, who has 16 points himself. Shout out to Bag Milk for these numbers. Made me feel good in his game day breakdown today. The Oilers, 36 and 23 all time in Game 3s on home ice. They're 19 and 10. And when they've been in a series tied 1-1 in the franchise history, they've won 19 of 26 playoff series. And then, of course, Stuart Skinner, he's going to get the start tonight. Not a great save percentage so far these playoffs. I believe it's an .888 at the moment. He'll need to be much better, but we expect him to be better. On the Vancouver Canucks side of things, they've decided to make some semi-serious lineup changes tonight. Nils Höglander is out this evening. That cup check from Derek Ryan, I guess, was brutal. No, I'm just kidding. Rick Tocchet didn't like his game. So he'll be replaced by Linus Karlsson, who, if you check his stats this season, played 4 games and had 0 goals, 0 assists, and 0 points. You got to like that bad boy. And then on the fourth line, Phil Giuseppe, he'll be out. He'll be replaced by Nils Amon. I want to ask you, Tyler, kind of wild to make such a big change like that for the Canucks on their second line, third line, whatever line you want to call that. Peterson, Mikheyev, now Linus Karlsson. It's quite the trick to pull out of your bag if you're Rick Tocchet in Game 3.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I honestly, when I saw the line combos get tweeted out today, I kind of had to do a double check of like Karlsson, like who? Go look it up. You're like, what? This guy doesn't play. Why is he going on whatever line you want? He's a top 9 player tonight. And I do think it shows again that if the Oilers are rolling, one of their strengths is going to be their depth in the top 9. As much as they also have the high-end skill advantage, I sit there and look, and I think the Oilers' third line, if it is, again, McLeod, Perry, Holloway, I think that can be better than Pettersson, Linus Karlsson, and Ilya Mikheyev, who has not been good for the last while for the Vancouver Canucks. So I think, again, sitting Hoglander, I didn't like his game either in game 2. I think it makes a ton of sense, but the Oilers top 9 is better than this Canucks top 9. It's better than it with Hoglander too, but it shows maybe where the Oilers have the edge in the depth side.
Yep, absolutely. And then on that line, EP40, he scored his first goal of the playoffs, signifying he is in fact awake and is not a ghost out there playing on the ice. And Nikita Zadorov continues to be a pain in the ass on and off the ice. He scored in back-to-back games, obviously. And then he made some noise, and I saw it earlier in the chat where he said, yeah, the Edmonton faithful, paraphrasing here, the Edmonton faithful, they're great. They're a rowdy crowd because there's nothing else to do in Edmonton besides watch hockey. I fully expect him to get booed every single time he touches the puck tonight. So if you're going to the game, please do me that honor and boo very hard, Tyler. Expect that from you. Then it's Artur Shilovs. He'll be in the net. I mentioned he's looked shaky, not very confident. Curious to see how the Edmonton crowd does affect him tonight. And that leads me to my Sherwood Ford Giants storyline tonight. And for me, Tyler, you've got this team right where you want them. You've taken back home ice with that Game 2 victory. As you pointed out in your tweet, in this series, you've gotten the bad Stuart Skinner start out of the way earlier. You got the kick in the ass, whatever you want to say, in Game 1 to know you can't fuck around. Sorry for my language. This Canucks team, they look a little beat up. They look a little tired. Not so much like the dominant team we saw earlier in the year. They're still good. Don't want to take them lightly. But they've made 2 significant lineup changes there. They don't have the home crowd. They don't have last change. These next 2 games, massive opportunities for the Oilers to put not a nail in their coffin, but get them one step closer to moving on to the next round. Tyler, what's your Sherwood Ford Giants storyline this evening?
Yeah, I got a piece up at Oilersnation.com right now giving 3 storylines and 3 keys to victory for tonight in this series. The 3 storylines I had, one was health. I think that's obvious. We now know Henrique won't play. Who knows how healthy Leon Draisaitl is? I obviously had officiating in there. The more penalties, the better, no matter what side it's on for the Oilers. If this is a 6 power play aside game, that favors the Oilers. If it's 1 apiece, that obviously favors the Canucks. But the number 1 storyline I had was just welcome to Edmonton, man. This series gets to come back to home ice for the Oilers, where they've been a much better team this year. Their offense averaged 1.12 more goals per game at home versus on the road. Their power play jumps from 20.8% on the road to 32.8% at home. They do a lot more things much better on home ice versus on the road. So to me, it's that. Also, the matchup side of this thing. How often are they going to go 97 and 29 together on the same line? Also, is it maybe going to be dependent on who the Canucks are throwing over? Just looking at McDavid's game logs and his natural stat trick from last game, he spent a ton of time going up against Tyler Myers and Carson Soucy, and he cooked them. The shots were 12-2 when he was on the ice with Soucy. The shots were 10-2 when he was on the ice against Myers. The score was 1-0. The play was just all in Vancouver's end. So is that a matchup that Chris Knobloch wants to exploit again tonight? I'll be interested to see how he handles that. Is it going to be a situation where when those 2 hop over, it's both Connor and Leon going over the boards? It'll be fun to see how the chess moves are made.
Absolutely. So let's get into the Edmonton lineup report brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giants. Sherwood Ford, home of the Giants advantage, the Giants selection of new and used vehicles. It's the best place to find, finance, and service a Ford vehicle in Edmonton and Sherwood Park. There you'll find giant deals and a giant array of services and parts too. Whether you prefer shopping online or in store, they tailor the shopping experience to you from people who really care. Sherwood Ford, the Giant for a reason. Let's pull it up. The Edmonton Oilers projected lineup this evening. Once again, they should be hopping over the boards soonish here, so we'll let you know if anything changes. But Leon, Connor, Hyman, then we'll see what the second line is going to be. I expect it to be Warren Fogle, Nuge, Evander Kane, then 1 Dylan Holloway, McLeod, Corey Perry, Janmark, Ryan Brown. You'd think on the 4th, deep pairings with Ekholm, Bush, Nurse, CC, which, yeesh, their minutes have gone down significantly. And then there's Brett Kulak and Vincent Desharnais. We talked about it off the hop, though, the dynamic duo, how well they played in Game 2. Both 4-point nights. They played 18-31. You threw some numbers earlier. At 5v5, those 3 shot attempts, 31-7. High danger chances, 10-2. I mentioned in Game 1, I thought McDavid, as Farhan Lalji made a tweet and he said he looks ordinary. And as much as that tweet pissed me off, It was kind of accurate because he was kept in check for the most part in that game. Game 2, a completely different story. You knew he wasn't going to let that happen in game 1. It's going to be a massive opportunity tonight. But the one I want to flip it to, Ty, is that top line, but incredibly dominant. It's a tad alarming that in this series, they are the only 3 forwards to have scored a goal yet in this series. Depth scoring would take a lot of pressure off that top line. Obviously, I did like Nuge's game on Friday. I know you said he had to elevate his play in that 2C role. I thought he did. Foegele brought some energy. Kane maybe left some to the imagination. And that third line, offensively at least 5v5, hasn't done a whole heck of a lot in the offensive zone. I don't even know if they have scored a goal yet. But with that being said, I do want to say, despite the lack of goals, lines 2, 3, and 4 have been very good at limiting Vancouver's offense, driving play out of their own zone. I've loved Ryan McLeod's defensive game so far, whether on the PK or in that role as your 3C. Active sticks all over the place. But eventually, Ty, you're going to need someone else to score some goals, and you're going to need a big one. We're still waiting for that significant Corey Perry worm-like goal. I hope it comes tonight in front of that Edmonton crowd.
Yep, absolutely. Just looking like, again, Ryan McLeod defensively, awesome. You want more from him offensively. The Oilers are going to have 5 guys in the lineup tonight in their forwards who haven't scored yet in the playoffs. And one guy, Warren Foegele, who hasn't scored on a goalie. His only goal is an empty netter. So you need more offense. Everyone's kind of done their job outside of the offensive department. Janmark, Foegele, Derek Ryan, all killing penalties. Holloway's been a buzzsaw. He scored a couple of times. McLeod, good defensively. Want to see more from Perry. Want to see more from all of them. As good as it is to see the big guns go out there and do their thing, there's going to be a game in this series where the Oilers will need a couple of depth goals. And when that time comes, one of those guys has to answer the bell, and they haven't done that yet.
Ty, I'm going to let you go in a couple minutes because you are going to the game tonight. Bring your shittiest hat because somebody might offer you $50 if you want to throw that bad boy. But the difference in game 2, right? The shot category. It was terrible in game 1, over 20 minutes without a single shot. Much different story game 2. Shots were 31-19. And I think everyone, including my dog, knew that your strategy should be to throw pucks at Archer Shelovs, get to him early. Canucks may have scored first, but the Oilers continue to pepper him, which I think is going to be key anytime he's in the net. He said he misplayed pucks behind the net. He looked shaky at points. This guy is very beatable. And tonight, the Edmonton crowd, it's going to be a different story. Just shoot, shoot, shoot. Can't score if you don't shoot. What did you think about the difference from game 1 to 2?
Yeah, I think they kind of recognized a little bit like pour rubber on Seelovs and you'll eventually solve them. And, you know, he played well to his credit. I didn't think Seelovs had a poor game by any stretch, especially when you look like the last couple of goals. It's Connor McDavid in all alone, and then your defenseman pops it behind you himself. So I thought Seelovs was fine, but I did like that the Oilers pushed him a little harder.
Final question to you. It's been a big topic of conversation. Darnell and Cody Ceci left a lot more to the imagination than you'd like. I thought they were better in game 2. Is that saying all that much after game 1? Not really. Still so much room for improvement. Cody Ceci, you talked about bringing in Troy Stecher possibly over him. I think Nobby has even noticed how bad they've been because if you look at their minutes in the last game, Darnell played 18-22. Brett Kulak played 18-16. CC played 17-41. Vinny 17-19. Seems to be evenly distributing those minutes between those 4. You cool with that decision right now because they've kind of forced Nobby's hand?
Yeah, at 5-on-5, Nurse was 15-13. CC was 14-58. They were both below Kulak and Desharnais in time on ice. It's results-driven business. They're not playing well. You play the duo that's playing better, and it's Desharnais and Kulak right now.
Absolutely. Tyler, you go have a fun time at the game tonight, but give me your score prediction, anytime goal score.
I think the Oilers are going to get him tonight. Give me 5-1, and Foegele gets off the Schneid.
Damn right. I like that. There's that score I've been looking for.
Quadrelli. I see Quad smirking as I say 5-1. I know he's coming up, and I'm sure he's going to say something different, but I think the Oilers get him tonight.
Beautiful. Have a good time, Tyler. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:01 Mountain Standard Time for a little Oilers Nation every day. And Tyler just said it, so here, let's bring him on, and it's brought to you by Boston Pizza. Shout out to the sweater, our playoff coverage brought to you by PPs, because it's been 30 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. What would it take for Canadian hockey fans to set aside their differences and work together to end this drought? Is it their team or nothing? Or could they get behind a rival under the right circumstances? BPs wants you to team up for the win. And I'm joined now by David Quadrelli. I will never team up with you. I don't want to see your team do anything in these NHL playoffs. But Quads, thanks for joining me, buddy. First question to you. What's your favorite menu item from BP's?
I'm a big fan of just a straight pepperoni pizza. Like, give me some ranch. I'm a dipper. I dip for sure. Yeah, just straight pepperoni pizza. And I also want to say, in the spirit of cheering for the other teams, I'm saying it now. If the Oilers beat the Canucks, undoubtedly, who else am I going to want to see win the cup? Undoubtedly, I'm going for the Oilers. And not even just because, oh, woo, Oilers. But you'll remember this, Aaron. Early on in the year, I came on all the Oilers Nation shows, and I was very adamant. I said, Oilers are my cup team. I picked them to win the cup at the start of the year. And more than rivalries, all this stuff, the fans going back and forth, more than that, the most important thing to me is being right. So ultimately, that's what I'm most worried about. Give me an Oilers cup. And I see the people in the chat are saying Oilers cup year.
It's a cup year. We've been saying that hashtag literally all season. Quads, I love that about you, buddy. That's a team player. That's a company man right there. Shout out to you, Quads. But, okay, the big story coming out of game 2, or at least online, and I'm sure you saw plenty of it, was the whistle, the reffing. I chirped you on pre-gaming before game 2, and I said Quads already has his built-in excuse with Kelly Sutherland. But to be fair, there were plenty of missed calls. Quinn Hughes, I said, was crying blood. It looked like out of his eye. Hoglander, he took one in the nuts. I saw Canucks Army. They posted a video of Edwin Diaz going out to the mound. You're a baseball guy. And it said the refs going out to defend Connor McDavid or something. My question to you, you don't want to be that fan base, do you?
Well, I mean, look, Canucks Army, obviously, we're the voice of the fans. We're the voice of the fans. But I'll tell you, like, I keep notes during the games, and I was in the press box. I counted 3 missed calls for each side. One of them for Vancouver, for sure, was a double minor, obviously. So slight advantage to the Oilers, I guess. But ultimately, I counted 3 missed calls. So obviously, the Sutherland thing that I said to you, for those that didn't see it, the Canucks are 0-7-1 in their past 8 games now. 7-2 in their past 9 games with Sutherland officiating. And then obviously it goes back to 2011 as well. It's just a long history with Kelly Sutherland. So that was kind of the background there. But, you know, did the Canucks get treated super unfairly in that game by the officials? No, it was just that the game wasn't officiated very well. But I'll also say, if you're a Canucks fan, you're not hoping that the Oilers get those 3 extra power plays, right? Like, you're not hoping that it's, like, what was the final? I don't even remember the final power play numbers, but you're not hoping that the Canucks,
both teams.
Okay, exactly. So you're not hoping that both sides get 6 power plays. You're not hoping that if you're a Canucks fan. You're hoping that this game stays at 5-on-5, where the Canucks can maybe hang with the Oilers. They certainly didn't hang with the Oilers in game 2, and I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about that.
Yep, 5v5. The Canucks have looked pretty damn good with this team. I just mentioned the Oilers haven't gotten any forward goal scoring from anyone not named McDavid, Draisaitl, or Zach Hyman, which is nothing new for this team or this fan base, but you're going to eventually need it. You just mentioned the power play for the Oilers. One man who doesn't want to see a lot of Edmonton Oilers power plays is the goaltender, Artur Shilov's. Quads, you've been a Shilov's guy since last season. Obviously, we've done a lot of stuff together with Canucks Conversation, and he's looked good. He's a Latvian legend. He's got his own shrine out there. It's absolutely incredible. But the Oilers are a different animal than the Nashville Predators. He has looked shakier. He's looked like a guy who now has, played 13, 14 career games, I believe, in the NHL. There's been the Smith. Could he be back in? I don't know. Where are you at right now with the Canucks goaltending situation? It's going to be Shilov tonight, but are you a believer in him? Or if, let's say, the game doesn't go the Canucks' way tonight, would you consider DeSmith? We know Demko, he's injured, up in the air. What do you got for me?
Considered. I love that. I know it was just a misspeak, but I'm gonna go with it. I love that. No, I'm not considering Casey DeSmith. I'm really not. And I will disagree with you a bit that Artur Shilov's looked shaky in game 2. I think you could certainly say that about his game 1 performance, but like, I'll just default to talking on this one because I asked him about it post game. He described Shilov's play as really good and that he was really proud of him. So to me, that's not a head coach that's having any sort of questions or doubts about his goaltender. Like, think about the goals, right? Obviously the breakaway, Connor McDavid coming in on a breakaway is going to score 9 times out of 10. And then Ian Cole throws on his old Oilers jersey and just taps it home for the Oilers. And in Ian Cole's defense, because I really watched back that goal. I'm not sure if everybody's seen it, but Sheloves actually kicks his skate at the last kicks his stick at the last second. So they basically like Cole's stick is here, Sheloves' skate is here. They went at the same time, and Sheloves kicked Cole's stick so that Cole put it right back into the Canucks net. It wasn't Cole being a double agent or anything like that, although that's the funny bit that everybody's doing out here. So that one maybe a little on Sheloves because he kicked the stick, but he's just trying to make the save, right? So I don't look at Sheloves and say, oh, there's a need to make a goaltending change. If Thatcher Demko is able to go, of course you're going to Thatcher Demko. That's not a question that anybody's asking. Tocchet did say this morning that he's taking shots, so that's a good sign in his progression. I still think it's doubtful for him to be back by game 6 or 7 if this series goes that long. But Sheloves, I personally, I don't have many worries about Archer Sheloves, especially in the sense of, okay, I'm so worried about him that I'm switching back to Casey DeSmith.
Yep, absolutely. And he's shown it in that round 1 series, what he's capable of doing, and he can steal some hockey games. Curious to watch that goaltending matchup. Stuart Skinner, he needs the hometown crowd more than ever. Absolutely. As the Oilers' home crowd, which means last change, means we should see less of JT Miller hounding, shadowing 197 out there on the ice. I said game 1, I thought they won that matchup. McDavid did look ordinary. Game 2 obviously had a goal, 4-point night with 3 assists. The Canucks, when the Oilers go supernova with Leon 97 and 18, I don't know if any team is going to have answers for that. The Canucks certainly did tonight. They're not going to have that last change. What do you think about that matchup so far, and how do you think it goes at Rogers Place for the next 2 games? What matchups do you think they're going to try and pick apart?
Okay, Aaron, I'll try to keep this under 20 minutes because I have so much, like I've dissected this and thought about it so much. So like, let's look at the numbers because like I was poking around natural stat trick and stuff. You brought up the JT Miller matchup, obviously, but I think the one that Chris Knoblauch, who might I also add, like this series is becoming a chess match between Tocchet and Knoblauch, who Tocchet's going to win the Jack Adams, but I thought Knoblauch should have been like the runner-up. He's not even in the top 3, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Should be the runner-up, no doubt in my mind. Andrew Brunette got out-coached again in the playoffs in round 1 by Rick Tocchet. Shouldn't be there. Rick Bowness, no disrespect to Rick Bowness, love me some Rick Bowness, but what Knoblauch did, I don't understand this idea that, he missed the first 10 games or whatever it is people are saying to justify him not being in the top 3. He's a great coach. He's a really good coach. And where I'm going with this, Aaron, is that the Oilers made the adjustment. I think Chris Knoblauch saw in game 1 that, okay, JC Miller, that line is ready to shut down Connor McDavid. They're ready. They've been ready to do that. They're ready to do that. But those other lines on Vancouver, those looked worse than I thought. So I'm thinking in Chris Knoblauch's mind, he said, well, I've got Leon Draisaitl who's dealing with something right now. Leon Draisaitl, and again, I've only been watching hockey for 24 years. Leon Draisaitl might be the best stationary player I've ever seen. And I was in the press box in that game, and I'm looking down, and I'm just seeing that Leon Draisaitl is hardly moving. Like, he's hardly moving in the offensive zone. And I'm literally watching, and I'm like, oh, he's dangerous there. He's dangerous. And he's not even moving. Like, he's not even moving. And he's looking so dangerous. And sure enough, of course he is. One of the best stationary players I think I've ever seen play the sport. But I'm losing my train of thought repeatedly, and I'll keep bringing it back. But what I was trying to say is that for all the goals and the points that line put up, JT Miller's line was the perfect example of bending but not breaking. They didn't give up a goal against McDavid, even though they played the most against that line of anybody in Vancouver. So they played the most. They shut down. I will say that with big air quotes because I think they got outshot or outchanced like 38-17 or something like that. It was ridiculous. So Edmonton won that territorially big time. And that was a big difference with the first game, obviously. So when we talked to Rick Tocchet post game, a thing he focused on was when they're loading up, when the Oilers are loading up their lineup like that, the other guys in the Canucks lineup have to win their matchups. They have to. Corey Perry hasn't looked very good in this series. I didn't know Adam Henrique took warm up, and then I saw him on the ice in game 2. In the second period is what I meant. I saw him in the second period and realized he was in the lineup. But you have to win your matchups if you're the Canucks and the Oilers are loading their lineup up like that. And that's ultimately why we've seen these changes, Aaron. Like, that's why Linus Karlsson's in the lineup tonight. That's why Nils Amon is in the lineup tonight. Nils Amon is actually for Phil DiGiuseppe, and Phil DiGiuseppe has a personal matter that he's dealing with, so I shouldn't say that. But for Höglander's the guy that's coming out of the lineup. He's looked really underwhelming in these playoffs. This is a 24-goal scorer this year, not in the lineup. Like, he scored 24 goals in the regular season. He's not playing in the lineup. He's been stable to Elias Pettersson almost all season long, really. And Pettersson hasn't been able to find much chemistry with any line mates this season. Ilya Mikheyev's looked like a shadow of himself. And Linus Karlsson has played 4 games. Most of those minutes came with Elias Pettersson, and did not look very good. They tried that in preseason as well. Didn't look good. I think he put up like 60 points or something in the AHL. He has good AHL numbers, but he's responsible defensively. So ultimately, I think that's why they're doing it, but you're not getting much offensively there. So to kind of round it all out, in game 1, Canucks win the territorial matchup at 5-on-5. That's the key to victory for them, is win that matchup. Don't let the Oilers get to the power play. Sure enough, that's how they win game 1. Game 2, the Oilers load up, recognizing that the Canucks, while they should on paper have the depth to match the Oilers' depth, their depth's nowhere to be seen right now. The rest of the Canucks lineup was invisible. So even if you have JT Miller playing great against that super juiced top line and not giving up a goal, which is crazy if you think about it, how many shots and how many chances they gave up, not giving up a goal, that's great, but it doesn't really matter much if everybody else in your lineup can't win their matchup. And of course, you're not going to get all those minutes against Miller and Connor McDavid head to head. And again, when you're on the road, it's different. Like, the Canucks are a great road team. They have been all year. I think they're undefeated on the road in the playoffs. Rick Tocchet, again, I talked to him yesterday about this. He stressed the need for short changes, especially against this Oilers team. Like, if you get stuck out there and they have last change, or like you ice the puck and you're the 4th line, yeah, good night right there. And yeah, man, like I'm looking at it and saying the Canucks are a good road team, but they have to be better than they were in game 2.
I think it's fair to say both teams need to have their depths step up a little bit more in the series. Yeah. And EP40, right? He finally gets on the score sheet. He's been not that great so far these playoffs. And I was shocked to see that they took Höglander out of the lineup. We're about to get lineups in just a minute here from our boy Pat. But break it down for me. What can I know about Linus Karlsson? I don't think I've ever heard anything about him. I agree with Tyler, and I said, I don't even know who this dude is. And he's playing in your top 6, I guess, tonight. Tell me about him.
Top 9, because the Lindholm, Garland, Joshua line, like, let's be honest. And you were on Canucks Combo when we would have these conversations. That's the Canucks second line, right? And yeah, about Linus Karlsson, he's Swedish. Like, I can tell you that. No, I'm not going to disrespect Karlsson like that. It's just, he's been very underwhelming, especially on the offensive side of the game. Responsible defensively, not the fastest skater, really good in tight. Like, he is really good in tight. So maybe that's where they're going to try to look for him. That's where he's able to do a lot of his damage at the AHL level. We'll see. I'm not a big fan of the move, to be honest with you.
I laugh at this from my Jordans. This would be way better with Bag Milk's Quads voice going right now. Shout out to Bag Milk for that. That always makes me laugh. One guy who's not making me laugh right now is Nikita Zadorov. He's enemy number 1 right now in Edmonton. He pissed us all off earlier in the year saying Nathan McKinnon's better than Connor because he's a winner. I did Canucks Convo that day, and you defended our boy 97. Now he's going after my city, saying there's nothing to do in the city, which... Quads, you've come to Edmonton before. You actually interviewed me when I got hired by this company. And my question to you, is there stuff to do in this town? You've stayed in the Airbnb above our office before. I bought you groceries once before. What's your review of Edmonton?
Look, I haven't traveled much, so I really liked going to Edmonton. And that's mainly, like, I've been on a plane 4 times in my life, and Jay's paid for all of them, and they've all been going to Edmonton. Like, every single flight I've ever been on in my life has been destined for Edmonton. So that's my chance to get out there. I'm going to Europe this summer, so maybe I'll have a different view when we talk next season. But I've liked Edmonton. Someone showed me these silver balls. I think Danger Suede on Twitter, he's been showing me the silver balls. I don't know what that's about. Someone said you can get stuck in them. Can you explain these silver balls to me?
I can't really at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's on the side of one of our highways, white mud, whatever you can say. And it's just a pyramid of silver balls. And some guy last year decided, I'm going to climb in there, and then went, oh shit, I don't know how to get out of here. And that's pretty much the story with there. Shout out to the Edmonton Riverhawks. They have Talus Ball jerseys. They have jerseys dedicated to the Talus Balls. A reason we do love Edmonton, but Zadorov, we don't love you.
I also just want to say, like, every time I go to Edmonton, I try to get to the mall, and there's no Harveys in British Columbia. Did you know this? There's no Harveys in British Columbia. And my take, I'll stand by it, Harveys is one of the best fast food burgers I've ever had.
You can get it any way you want it. Is that have it your way? Is Harvey's have it your way?
No, isn't that Burger King?
The Burger King? Fuck, that might be Burger King.
Aren't we sponsored? We're sponsored by Wendy's. I really like me some Wendy's. I really like
there you go.
Wendy's.
Absolutely. Okay. My question to you, Quads, has been some of the discourse online. It's been all over the place. Both fan bases trying to tear each other down. I'm sure you're getting Edmonton trolls in your chat after Wednesday night. Oh my God. Might have been the most viewed After Dark I've ever had. And there was a lot of Canucks fans in that bad boy. It's getting nasty out there. There's fuck McDavid chants. Hyman's getting told off by little kids. Jack Campbell's catching strays for no reason out there. I'm getting it in the chat. I'm getting it in the DMs. Quads, can you remind the Canucks faithful that I produced a Canucks show when you were dog shit for all of last season and part of this year? They owe me a little bit of love, correct?
Well, are they giving you individually hate? Because they must not know who you are.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. You gotta give them the "do you know who I am?" and then play clips of you being like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna give my thoughts on Guillaume Brisebois right now." Like, put clips of yourself doing Canucks Convo. You were a closet Canucks fan.
Whoa. Don't be throwing around shit like that now, Quads. You're going to get me in trouble out there. Finally, I got one thing. Pat, can you give us the Edmonton lineup? We know we just got it tweeted out there, and I believe he's going to have it available for us. It's Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Kane, RNH, Fogle, Holloway, McLeod, Perry, Janmark, Ryan, Brown. Exactly what I did expect. Quads, final question for you. What have you thought of Corey Perry so far? He has been borderline invisible, dare I say, 5-5 at least offensively. I mentioned that line's been very good defensively, 5-on-5. McLeod has been incredible trying to stifle some Vancouver offense. But what have you thought of Corey Perry? I haven't gotten my signature worm moment yet, and I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, he had that one, right, in game one where he like squeaked through to the defense and did that little dive shot. Yeah, I mean, he's older now, but you're still expecting him to have some sort of impact, right? Like, he's not even getting under anybody's skin. And yeah, I look at him just looking around the lineup. Like, what are your thoughts on Evander Kane? And not to take the conversation somewhere else, but like, I've looked at him and been like, okay, I thought there was going to be a lot more there than we've seen from Evander Kane.
I think in games 1 and 2 definitely could be better. We know he's dealing with that sports hernia, and if anyone's followed Evander Kane's career, it's up and down. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he's cold. I fully expect him. He's a guy who feeds off the crowd. If he goes and smashes Quinn Hughes into the board on the forecheck tonight, in the first 5-10 minutes, the crowd gets behind him. He hears that roar. He's going to get going. He's a guy that gets rolling with the vibe and the crowd out there. But I could use more. I believe he only had one shot in game 2 on net and maybe not as many hits, but the one he did lay on Quinn Hughes, he banged him up pretty good there with his knee. So Evander Kane, just like Corey Perry, I want to see more from him. But like you just mentioned, if the goals aren't going in, hey, that's one thing. I need you to be an absolute pest out there. I need you to piss people off.
Yeah, like, get involved. Like, do something. It doesn't even need to be like, oh, go hit somebody. Like, it's like, go make a really smart defensive play. Like, that's the one thing I saw from the Oilers' bottom six is, look, like, you and I have been having this conversation. The depth hasn't been good for either side in this. But for, like, Ryan McLeod, for example, some really solid back checks. Like, he did a really good job of making sure the Canucks couldn't create anything. Even if he didn't look spectacular himself, he's been someone I thought's been a little bit maybe underrated in terms of his defensive play. I'm not sure maybe his defensive play is, like, sung praises of a lot in Edmonton, but I've noticed him a lot in this series for, like, the right reasons of doing the right things away from the puck, if that makes sense. So, like, I would say look at what Ryan McLeod's doing and go try to replicate that. Like, go be involved elsewhere. Don't get scored on. Like, don't get scored on. And I mean, the Oilers have done a good job of that. The Oilers, bottom six, and the rest of their lineup. But again, for the Canucks, you need to do more. Like, you need to do so much more. And it's such an interesting series because, like I said, it's a chess match between two really good coaches, two of the best coaches in the league, in my opinion. And I'm really curious what the next move is, because, like, here's how I look at it, Aaron, is game one, Rick Tocchet kind of made his move. And then after game one, Chris Knoblauch made his move. Both coaches have a win in this series. What's the move? Because now it's Rick Tocchet's move, right? Like, Rick Tocchet changed his lineup. Chris Knoblauch did not change his lineup, although, of course, we might see Draisaitl play some center. They have that last change. Where does this chess match go from here? I'm loving the series so far, personally. I think it's really close. Of course, it went to overtime as well. I'm loving this series so far.
I love this from Lance Kane. He said, next move, winning the cup. Quads. That's going to be Chris Knoblauch's best move. And you just mentioned this series has been awesome. Might burn down everything from Edmonton to Vancouver in there as well, but it's been a good one. It's good for the company as well. I know you're a company man. And Quads, before I let you go, score prediction and give me an anytime goal score. Could be on either side of the ice.
I'm gonna say Nikita Zadorov scores again, because, like, he had 5 goals in the regular season. He's got 4 in the playoffs. The dude's just he's playing out of his mind right now. And I know Oilers fans aren't gonna like that pick, but I'm going with Nikita Zadorov again to score a goal. Although I will throw this out there, Aaron, all of his goals have come on home ice. He scored in every home game that they've played in these playoffs, or not every single one, excuse me, but every goal he scored has been on home ice. So I'll still go with Nikita Zadorov. I'll go with him. Score prediction. I hate to do it to the Oilers fans. I'm going to say, what did Tyler say? 5-1 Oilers? I'm 5-1 Canucks. I'm going 5-1 Canucks.
Ooh, you mentioned the names of Nikita Zadorov. Patrick comes in and just goes, boo. You're going to hear a lot of that tonight, Quads. I love you. Thanks for doing this, buddy. I'm sure we'll see you later this week on Oilersnation every day.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Okay. See ya. David Quadrelli from Canucks Army. Go check out Canucks Conversation. As you might have learned there, I used to be their producer for over a year. And fun story, last year, they were so bad, and now they're getting good, and they're getting a little mouthy. But last year we had a fun bit where I drove a tank through a village on footage, because the tank rolled on last season as they tried to fail for Bedard. Didn't get him. Seems like it doesn't matter, as they're now a playoff team. I'm going to bring in my boy. He's producing behind the scenes. He's now co-hosting all the time. He's a jack of all trades. He's handsome. Patrick Puff. Patty boy, how we feeling? Sunday nights, 7:30 start. We love that. As the guys that have to do Oilersnation After Dark, I'm thrilled about the start time.
Yeah, 7:30 start is definitely a bonus, 100%. Do I expect it to end any sooner? Not really. Could be, with whistles, and if we go to overtime again, it could end up being a late night once again. But 7:30, it's something.
Yeah, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. I'll take what I can get. Let me know where you're watching from in the chat, what time you're going to be starting your games at. The guy from Germany I sent the shirt to, he was like, yeah, man, the game starts at 4 a.m. here, but I'm up and I'm ready to go. Shout out to all the nation's citizens across the globe. Let's get into it now. Bordzy's Bankroll brought to you by Betway. 19+. Please play responsibly, because with Betway, you can get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. All you got to do, create a new account, redeem your bonus by scanning that QR code that will be on your screen in just a moment to join the action. Patty's got to do double duty right now, but you place a bet. If that bet loses, you get a refund up to $200. You can then use that money to bet on your favorite sports. Get on it, join the action. The offer, it's only available outside of Ontario. If you're new here, Bordzy's Bankroll, giving you 3 bets I like this evening. We're going to make a YouTube poll, and you're going to decide where I put my money. So without further ado, let's pull them up here. Your first option, I finally changed it away from number 97, but it's Edmonton money line and number 29 to get 2+ points. Currently sits at +165. I know he's injured, might have back issues, cramp issues, might have broken ribs, but as Quads just mentioned, he's the best stationary player in the NHL, and his hockey IQ, you saw it on the power play in the first goal he got in game 2. Not moving quick, but he finds the crease in the offensive zone, feeds him a puck, Bing, bang, boom, back of the net. The next one is a Boosh 1+ power play points, currently at plus 125. Power play, it's been key for the Oilers all season long, all playoffs long. And Bouchard, he's been putting up points left, right, and center, and obviously scored the OT winner in the last game. And then finally, you have to imagine if they're going supernova tonight, Zach Hyman's going to be playing that role of the third post, stick on the ice in the blue paint. Anytime goal for him. It's only minus 112. I'm still betting that bad boy because he didn't score in the last game. He's going to do it tonight. Patty boy, when you look at these three bets, which one's speaking to you? Which one do you like?
I mean, I got to cop out and go money line Dry 2+ points. Absolutely on fire these playoffs. He always is in the playoffs. And yeah, I have no doubt that he can keep that rolling. However, I do like Bouchard 1+ power play point. We're going to get some opportunities tonight. And we know that power play absolutely lethal. So at plus 125, that's not bad. I think Hyman's going to score, but for minus 112, if you're only making one bet, I like probably the money line. And then close second would be Boosh number 2.
Yep, and it would appear everybody in the chat agrees with you. 57% of the vote going that way as well. The Hyman one doesn't have the value, but,
but
you just feel like it's got that feeling tonight. It's going to go in there. I asked people where they're watching from. Shout out to Dukes, man. What a beauty. And he said, I'm definitely not watching this from a coal mine in Australia when I'm meant to be working. 12 p.m. puck drop. Let's go. Yeah, it's Monday morning out there in Australia. That's true. Dukes, you're the man. Stick taps in the chat for Dukes. He's been a trooper all season long. I like Doug Wade in here. I'm watching from Clairview. LOL. Yeah, let me know if you're in Sherwood Park. Maybe we can hang out. We can catch the game together. I'm going to be at home. Patty boy, it's going to be you, me, and our English pal, Liam Horrobin, later this evening, breaking down the game for Oilersnation After Dark. Looks for sure. 62% of the vote going money line, Dry 2+ points. Shocker. I already bet that, so I don't need to try and hurry up to put that one in my account. But Patty boy, score prediction, anytime goal scorer. What do you think's going down tonight?
Yeah, I think I'll go along the same lines as Tyler. I'll give Vancouver a little more credit and go 5-2 Edmonton. Anytime goal scorer. If I'm going with my heart, I'd like it to be Fogle, but I gotta say McDavid is probably going to get one tonight. He got onto the board in that last game, and with home ice advantage, last change, he's gonna be firing tonight.
Dude, Mr. Shell, watching from an iron ore mine in West Australia. Go Oilers! You guys are the best. Shout out to you guys. You should hang out with Dukes if you guys. I don't know if you're already friends. Hopefully you're friends, but if you weren't already, you're going to be now. For me, I think it's going to be another tight game. I think the Oilers obviously are going to win. I'm going 4-2, one of those being an empty net goal. Zach Hyman, anytime goal scorer. But I did sprinkle tonight. Corey Perry, anytime goal. The crowd, if it's ever going to happen, it needs to happen tonight. It needs to happen on home ice because the storyline of old Anaheim Duck Corey Perry to scoring a big goal on home ice. It still baffles the brain. Still doesn't make sense seeing him in that jersey. But I'm riding with him tonight. The Worm himself. Big shout out to Quads for coming on. Everybody, if you want to hear more Oilers Canucks talk throughout this series, you want more. Every day, 3 p.m. Mountain Time, they go live. Quadrelli with Harmon Dial. A couple awesome guests there as well. I used to produce that bad boy. So be kind to them in the chat, please, and thank you. Quads is a good guy. But shout out to our sponsor, Sherwood Ford the Giant, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Go check them out. Open in Sherwood Park now. If you saw it on our socials this weekend, you know how you sell boats and how you sell scooters and bikes, Pat? You bring in puppies all over the place and you have a barbecue. It looked awesome. I was pretty jealous, but I didn't go because, as you could imagine, I was quite hungover Saturday morning from what we did at Greta on Friday. Shout out to Greta as well for them. They are responsible for the Vancouver lineup, but they were rocking on Friday nights. And we do know we're going to get a Game 5 for sure now. So we will be back, that would be Thursday, I do believe, later this week. So come on out to Greta on Thursday night. It'll be a good time. I'll be there. Pat will be there. Shout out Betway, 19+. Please play responsibly for everything they do. Will Hawk Beef Jerky. if you need to know info, and obviously Boston Pizza for not only the awesome swag, but for our playoff report brought to you by them. People will be breaking down the game right here on the ON YouTube after the game with Liam Horrobin. Good luck out there. I wish you nothing but the best. Archer Seelovs, I wish you nothing but the worst. And if you're in the building, boo the shit out of little Z Zadorov. You come for the Oilers faithful. You're gonna get a lot tonight. I sure hope so. I love you all. Throw a like on your way out, and I'll catch you after the game.